Rain fell lightly across the west side of Chicago that Thursday evening. Streetlights reflected against wet sidewalks beside rows of aging brick apartments. Marcus Bennett sat quietly inside his dark SUV outside St. Anne Medical Center, watching emergency room workers through the windshield. He had spent 23 years wearing a badge in Chicago, long enough to recognize exhaustion inside his own bones. The radio beside him crackled with another domestic disturbance call near Englewood. Another argument, another frightened family, another night where officers arrived too late to prevent permanent damage. Marcus rubbed his eyes slowly and silenced the radio for 1 minute of peace. He needed silence before returning home. Inside the hospital, his wife Elena finished another 12-hour nursing shift. Their marriage survived difficult years because both understood sacrifice. Elena understood blood-stained uniforms and sleepless nights. Marcus understood exhausted silence and painful overtime schedules. Neither complained anymore. Life in Chicago taught people how to survive disappointment quietly. Across the city, 16-year-old Jordan Bennett waited alone inside their apartment building hallway. His basketball rested beside him near the stairs. Rainwater dripped from his hoodie after practice ended early. Jordan checked his phone repeatedly, hoping his father would answer at least one message tonight. Jordan loved Marcus deeply, but resentment quietly followed him everywhere recently. His father missed birthdays, school games, family dinners, and church services. Every emergency call stole another piece of family life. Jordan understood police work mattered. He just hated losing his father to strangers every day. Downstairs, old Mrs. Delaney struggled carrying groceries through the lobby entrance. Jordan immediately stood and helped her lift heavy bags toward the elevator. She smiled warmly at him. "You remind me of your father years ago," she said softly. Jordan forced a small smile. "Everybody says that." "That bothers you," he shrugged. "Sometimes." Mrs. Delaney studied him carefully before answering. "Your father carries too much pain home from work. Men like that forget their sons are watching them disappear." Jordan looked down silently because her words felt painfully accurate. Several miles away, Marcus finally entered the hospital lobby to meet Eleanor. She noticed immediately how tense his shoulders looked. "Bad night?" she asked. Marcus laughed quietly without humor. "Same city, different victims." They walked together through the parking garage while discussing ordinary family things. Elena mentioned Jordan skipping dinner again. Marcus sighed heavily. "He barely talks to me lately," Marcus admitted. "Because you're never there long enough," Elena replied gently. Marcus stopped walking briefly beside the elevator doors. Rain hammered loudly against the concrete levels above them. "You think I don't know that?" Eleanor softened immediately. "Marcus, I'm not attacking you, but Jordan needs his father more than this city does." Marcus stared toward the garage entrance where ambulance lights flashed red across wet pavement. He remembered Jordan at 6 years old, pretending to direct traffic with toy handcuffs. Back then, being a police officer seemed heroic to his son. Now Jordan barely looked him in the eyes. Marcus finally spoke quietly. "I keep thinking one more promotion will fix everything. Better hours, more stability." Eleanor shook her head sadly. "Chicago never stops needing police officers. The department will always ask for more pieces of you." Before Marcus could answer, his phone buzzed sharply. "Lieutenant Carson." Marcus answered immediately. "Bennett speaking." Carson sounded tense. "We found another body near South Halsted. Young male, 17 maybe. Patrol already secured the alley." Marcus closed his eyes briefly. "On my way." Elena looked away before he even hung up. "I'm sorry," Marcus whispered. She nodded quietly. "I know." 20 minutes later, Marcus stood beneath flashing blue lights inside a narrow alley soaked with rainwater and blood. Patrol officers blocked both entrances while detectives photographed the crime scene. The victim lay covered beneath a white sheet beside overflowing dumpsters. Officer Daniel Reeves approached carefully holding a coffee cup. "Witness heard arguing around midnight," Reeves explained. "Possible gang connection." Marcus listened silently while scanning the alley walls. Bullet holes scarred nearby brick surfaces like permanent memories. Chicago carried violence inside every neighborhood differently. Then Marcus noticed something strange. Near the victim's covered hand rested a small silver cross necklace. Marcus froze instantly, because Jordan owned an identical necklace. Rainwater streamed steadily through the alley while officers moved carefully around the covered body. Blue and red lights painted the brick walls with restless color. Marcus Bennett stood frozen beside the silver cross necklace, resting near the victim's hand. His chest tightened painfully. Officer Reeves noticed his expression immediately. "You okay, Lieutenant?" Marcus crouched slowly beside the necklace without touching it. Tiny scratches marked the metal surface beneath flashing patrol lights. Jordan's necklace carried identical scratches. "Bag this separately," Marcus ordered quietly. Reeves nodded and called for evidence collection. Marcus stepped away from the body toward the alley entrance. His breathing felt shallow suddenly. Rational thoughts fought against fear inside his mind. Thousands of identical necklaces existed across Chicago. Jordan probably sat safely inside their apartment, watching basketball highlights or ignoring homework. Still, Marcus reached for his phone. No answer. He called again. Straight to voicemail. The rain intensified overhead. Marcus lowered the phone slowly while detectives continued documenting the scene nearby. He forced himself back into professional focus. "What do we know about the victim?" he asked. Reeves checked his notes. No identification yet. Hispanic male, maybe 17 or 18. Witness heard 2 vehicles leaving after gunshots. Marcus nodded mechanically. "Any cameras nearby?" "Liquor store across the street has exterior surveillance." Marcus ordered officers to secure footage immediately, but his thoughts remained trapped elsewhere. Jordan usually answered texts quickly, especially late at night. Elena probably returned home already. Maybe Jordan forgot charging his phone again. Marcus tried Elena next. This time she answered. "Hey," she said softly. Marcus exhaled quietly. "Jordan home?" A brief pause followed. "I thought he was working out with friends tonight." Marcus felt cold despite the humid summer rain. "He isn't there?" "No, why?" Marcus stared back toward the white sheet covering the body. "Probably nothing," he lied carefully. "Just checking." Elena recognized tension immediately. "Marcus, what's wrong?" "Nothing yet. I'll explain later." He ended the call before fear reached his voice. Across Chicago, Jordan sat inside an abandoned auto repair garage beside his best friend Malik Turner. Music echoed quietly through broken concrete rooms, while several older teenagers counted cash nearby. Smoke drifted beneath hanging fluorescent lights. Jordan looked uncomfortable. "We should leave," he whispered. Malik rolled his eyes. "Relax, nobody cares we're here." Jordan shifted nervously against the wall. He hated places like this. His father warned him constantly about abandoned buildings controlled by neighborhood crews. Trouble found desperate teenagers quickly inside Chicago. But Jordan followed Malik tonight because loneliness felt heavier lately. Malik understood that loneliness. "Your dad's still treating you like a little kid?" Malik asked. Jordan laughed bitterly. "Hard to notice when he's never home." Malik nodded knowingly. His own father disappeared years earlier after prison. "At least yours cares enough to pretend," Malik muttered. Jordan stayed silent. One of the older boys approached, holding expensive sneakers and several watches. "Anybody asks," the teenager said quietly, "you never saw us tonight." Jordan immediately stood. "Nah, man, I'm leaving." Malik grabbed his sleeve. "Stop acting scared." Jordan looked toward the stolen merchandise uneasily. "This isn't basketball practice anymore." Before Malik could answer, shouting erupted outside the garage. Then came gunfire. Everyone inside scattered instantly. Jordan ducked behind an overturned toolbox while bullets shattered dirty windows. Tires screeched violently beyond the entrance. Somebody screamed. The attack lasted maybe 15 seconds. Then silence returned. Heavy breathing filled the garage. Jordan slowly lifted his head. One teenager lay bleeding near the entrance doors. Malik stared in horror. "Oh God." Jordan moved instinctively toward the wounded boy, despite shaking hands. Blood spread quickly beneath the teenager's chest. "Call an ambulance," Jordan shouted. Nobody moved, because everybody feared police more than death. Jordan pressed trembling hands against the wound while the injured boy gasped painfully. Blood covered Jordan's hoodie immediately. "Stay awake," Jordan whispered desperately. Sirens echoed faintly somewhere beyond the industrial blocks. Then Jordan noticed something terrifying. The wounded teenager wore the other half of a broken silver cross necklace, matching the necklace from the alley crime scene. Sirens echoed closer through the industrial district while panic consumed the abandoned garage. Teenagers scattered through side exits, carrying backpacks and stolen merchandise. Nobody wanted police questioning them tonight. Nobody wanted fingerprints connected to the shooting. Jordan Bennett knelt beside the wounded teenager while blood soaked through his sleeves. The boy could not have been older than 19. His breathing sounded wet and uneven. "Stay with me," Jordan whispered urgently. The teenager grabbed Jordan's wrist weakly. "They thought I took something," he gasped. Jordan pressed harder against the chest wound. "Don't talk right now." Malik paced nearby in complete panic. "We need to leave before cops arrive," he said quickly. Jordan stared at him in disbelief. "He's dying, and we'll get blamed standing here beside him." Jordan looked back toward the injured teenager. The broken silver cross necklace rested against blood-stained skin beneath flickering garage lights. Jordan recognized it immediately. 3 months earlier, he bought matching necklaces from a church fundraiser downtown, one for himself, one for Malik. Jordan reached beneath his hoodie instinctively. His necklace was gone. Fear twisted sharply inside his stomach. "Malik," he said quietly. Malik froze. "Where's your necklace?" Malik avoided eye contact immediately. Outside, police sirens grew louder. Jordan suddenly understood something terrible. "You know this guy?" Malik swallowed hard before answering. "Jordan, listen to me carefully. Do you know him? It wasn't supposed to happen like this." Jordan stood slowly, blood covering both hands now. "What did you do?" Malik shook his head frantically. "Not me, just listen first." The wounded teenager coughed violently beside them. Blood splattered concrete floors. Jordan barely heard him anymore, because his best friend's face revealed everything. Malik finally spoke quietly. "Those guys tonight? They run packages across neighborhoods, shoes, phones, sometimes guns." Jordan stared silently. "I only drove sometimes," Malik continued. "Nothing serious." "You're working with gangs?" "No, it's not like that." Jordan stepped backward slowly. His father's warnings echoed painfully inside his head now. Wrong people, wrong places, wrong choices. The distant sirens stopped suddenly outside the building. Police arrived. Teenagers immediately fled through broken side doors. Malik grabbed Jordan urgently. "Come on." Jordan pulled away. "I'm not running. You have blood everywhere. They'll think you did this." Jordan looked down at his stained hoodie and trembling hands. Then flashlight beams swept through shattered windows. "Chicago police!" somebody shouted. Malik panicked completely. "Jordan, move now." Before Jordan could answer, Malik disappeared through a rear exit into darkness. Seconds later, officers stormed inside the garage with weapons drawn. "Hands up!" Jordan raised both blood-covered hands immediately. The wounded teenager groaned weakly beside him. An officer shoved Jordan hard against the concrete wall while others secured the scene. Flashlights illuminated the blood on his clothes instantly. "I was helping him," Jordan said quickly. Nobody listened. Across the city, Marcus Bennett reviewed liquor store surveillance footage beside detectives inside a mobile command unit. Grainy video showed 2 vehicles speeding away moments after gunshots near the alley murder. Then Marcus's phone rang again. Unknown patrol number. "Lieutenant Bennett," he answered. "Sir," a nervous officer replied. "We detained a teenager at another shooting scene near West Fulton Industrial." Marcus rubbed tired eyes. "And? You should probably come personally." Something inside the officer's tone immediately changed Marcus's expression. "Why?" The officer hesitated. "Because the kid keeps asking for you." Marcus felt ice spread through his chest. "What's his name?" Another painful pause followed. "Jordan Bennett." Everything around Marcus suddenly became silent. Rain hammered against the command vehicle roof while detectives continued discussing evidence nearby. None of them noticed the color drain from Marcus's face. "Is he hurt?" Marcus asked sharply. "No, sir, but he was found beside a gunshot victim covered in blood." Marcus closed his eyes briefly. His son, at a crime scene, Covered in blood, Marcus grabbed his jacket immediately. Officer Reeves noticed. "Where are you going?" Marcus answered without slowing down. "My son just became part of an investigation." 20 minutes later, Marcus arrived outside the industrial garage, surrounded by patrol cars and ambulance lights. Officers recognized him immediately and stepped aside silently. Jordan sat handcuffed on the curb beneath flashing blue lights. Blood stained his hoodie. Their eyes met. Jordan looked terrified. Marcus looked heartbroken. Then Marcus noticed something even worse. An evidence technician carried Jordan's silver cross necklace inside a sealed plastic bag. Blue lights flashed endlessly across the rain-soaked industrial street, while officers moved between patrol vehicles and yellow crime scene tape. Marcus Bennett stood frozen beside his SUV, staring at his handcuffed son. Jordan looked smaller than Marcus remembered, not physically, emotionally. Fear hollowed his face beneath the flashing lights. Marcus approached slowly, while nearby officers pretended not to watch. Nobody spoke. Chicago police culture thrived on silence during humiliating moments. Jordan finally broke first. "Dad, I didn't shoot anybody." Marcus swallowed hard before answering. "Are you hurt?" Jordan shook his head weakly. An officer nearby stepped forward awkwardly. "Lieutenant, procedure required temporary detention until detectives arrived." Marcus nodded mechanically without looking away from Jordan. "Remove the cuffs." The officer obeyed immediately. Jordan rubbed sore wrists silently after the metal restraints disappeared. Marcus noticed blood still covering his son's hoodie sleeves. Not the blood of a criminal, the blood of someone who tried saving another human being. Marcus recognized the difference instantly. "Talk to me," Marcus said quietly. Jordan glanced toward the garage entrance where paramedics loaded the wounded teenager into an ambulance. "We were hanging out," Jordan explained shakily. "Then cars pulled up outside shooting. Everybody ran." "Who is we?" Jordan hesitated. Marcus already knew. "Malik," he answered softly. Marcus closed his eyes briefly. Malik Turner appeared inside police reports more frequently recently. Petty theft, suspicious associations, known gang contacts. Marcus warned Jordan repeatedly about staying away from him. Jordan continued quietly. "That guy got hit. Nobody helped him." Marcus studied his son's trembling hands. "So you stayed?" Jordan nodded. "Everybody else ran because they were scared of police." Those words landed heavily, because Marcus understood exactly why frightened teenagers avoided officers lately. Too many encounters ended badly. Too many young men disappeared into the system after one terrible decision. A detective approached carrying an evidence folder. "Lieutenant, we recovered this near the victim." He handed Marcus the sealed plastic bag containing Jordan's necklace. Marcus examined it carefully beneath patrol lights. Broken clasp, bloodstains. Jordan looked confused immediately. "I lost that tonight," he whispered. The detective crossed his arms. "Witnesses placed your son inside the garage before the shooting started." Marcus looked up sharply. "Witnesses?" "Local residents heard arguing over stolen merchandise." Jordan stepped forward anxiously. "I didn't steal anything." The detective remained calm. "Nobody said you did." But Marcus recognized suspicion hiding beneath professional language. Jordan recognized it too. Suddenly, another patrol officer hurried toward them, holding a cell phone. "Lieutenant, you need to see this." The officer played shaky video footage recorded by a nearby resident during the shooting aftermath. The screen showed teenagers fleeing the garage. Then Jordan appeared kneeling beside the wounded boy, pressing desperately against his chest wound. Marcus watched silently. Then the video captured another face clearly. Malik Turner, holding a handgun. Jordan's expression collapsed immediately. "No," he whispered. The detective paused the footage. "Your friend dropped the weapon before running." Marcus looked at Jordan carefully. "Did you know he carried a gun?" Jordan shook his head violently. "I swear I didn't." Marcus believed him, but belief and truth operated differently inside police investigations. The detective lowered the phone slowly. "Lieutenant, gang intelligence confirmed the victim belonged to the Fulton Kings crew." Marcus felt another knot tighten inside his chest. Because Chicago gangs destroyed innocent teenagers every year by proximity alone. Jordan looked completely overwhelmed now. Dad, I didn't know any of this was happening. Marcus placed one steady hand on his shoulder. I know, but another voice interrupted sharply behind them. Maybe you know. Internal Affairs probably won't care. Marcus turned immediately. Captain Raymond Holloway stood beneath the rain, wearing a long black coat. His expression carried no sympathy tonight. Holloway supervised department integrity investigations, and he hated scandals involving officers' families. The captain approached slowly while studying Jordan. A lieutenant's son connected to a gang shooting, Holloway said coldly. The media will love this by morning. Marcus stepped forward slightly. He's a witness, not a suspect. Right now, he's both, Holloway replied. Jordan stared at Marcus in panic. Marcus kept his voice controlled. My son cooperated fully. Holloway glanced toward the ambulance leaving the scene. If that victim dies, everything changes. Rain intensified again across the industrial block. Marcus looked toward Jordan. For the first time in his entire career, protecting the city and protecting his son suddenly stood on opposite sides of the same investigation. Then Holloway delivered the sentence Marcus feared most. By sunrise, the captain said quietly, every news station in Chicago will know your son's name. Chicago woke beneath gray skies and breaking headlines the following morning. Rainwater still clung to sidewalks while commuters hurried toward trains carrying coffee and exhaustion. Inside police headquarters, televisions mounted across the lobby repeated the same story every 15 minutes. Police lieutenant's son connected to gang shooting investigation. Marcus Bennett watched silently from the hallway outside Internal Affairs. Jordan sat beside him wearing fresh clothes Elena delivered earlier that morning. Neither spoke much during the drive downtown. Fear exhausted both of them differently. Elena finally arrived carrying coffee cups and worried eyes. Media trucks are outside our apartment building, she whispered. Marcus rubbed his forehead slowly. Jordan shouldn't return there tonight. Jordan looked up sharply. Why am I hiding if I didn't do anything wrong? Because innocence rarely protected people from public judgment anymore. Marcus wanted to say that aloud. Instead, he answered carefully. People create stories before facts arrive. Jordan stared toward the floor. Like police officers do? The question cut deeper than Marcus expected. Before he could respond, Captain Holloway opened the conference room door. Lieutenant Bennett, bring your son inside. The room felt cold beneath fluorescent lighting. Two Internal Affairs investigators waited beside folders filled with reports and printed photographs. Jordan immediately noticed one image showing Malik Turner holding the handgun. Investigator Claire Monroe spoke first. Jordan, we need complete honesty today. Jordan nodded quietly. Marcus remained standing against the wall while the questioning began. Jordan explained everything carefully. Basketball practice. Malik inviting him out afterward. The abandoned garage. Older teenagers selling stolen items. Gunfire. The wounded victim. Monroe listened without interruption. Then she asked the hardest question yet. Why didn't you leave immediately when you realized criminal activity was happening? Jordan hesitated because loneliness sounded pathetic when spoken aloud. I didn't want Malik thinking I was scared, he admitted finally. Marcus closed his eyes briefly. Teenage pride. The oldest trap in America. Another investigator slid photographs across the table. Security images showed Jordan entering the industrial district beside Malik around midnight. Did Malik ever discuss gangs with you before tonight? Monroe asked. Jordan shook his head. Not directly. He mentioned making money sometimes. Doing what? Driving packages. Marcus watched shame spread across Jordan's face. His son blamed himself already. The interview continued nearly 2 hours before Monroe finally closed her notebook. At this moment, she said calmly, Jordan remains a witness, not a suspect. Marcus exhaled quietly for the first time all morning, but Holloway immediately added another concern. Public perception won't separate those details easily. Jordan looked exhausted now. Can I go home? Before anyone answered, shouting erupted suddenly outside the conference room. A patrol officer rushed through the hallway. Captain, media breached the front barricades. Holloway cursed under his breath. Marcus stepped toward the door instantly. Too late. Camera flashes exploded through lobby windows downstairs. Reporters crowded against security barriers, yelling questions upward. "Lieutenant Bennett, was your son involved in gang activity? Did police give your family special treatment?" Jordan froze beside the conference table. Marcus saw genuine terror inside his son's eyes now. Not fear of prison, fear of humiliation. Eleanor wrapped protective arms around Jordan immediately. "Don't look outside," she whispered. But Jordan already heard everything. Captain Holloway approached Marcus quietly. "This gets uglier if Malik Turner disappears." Marcus looked sharply toward him. "You think he's running?" "His apartment was empty this morning." Marcus felt another wave of dread. Because if Malik vanished, investigators would pressure Jordan harder. Prosecutors loved frightened teenagers connected to bigger targets. Then Marcus's phone vibrated. Unknown number. He answered cautiously. Static crackled briefly before a trembling voice spoke. "Mr. Bennett?" Marcus recognized Malik instantly. "Where are you?" Malik sounded terrified. "They're looking for me." "Police aren't your biggest problem right now," Marcus replied sharply. Heavy breathing filled the line. Then Malik whispered something unexpected. "The people who shot Andre think Jordan saw their faces." Marcus straightened immediately. "What are you talking about?" "They think Jordan can identify them." Marcus looked toward his son across the conference room. Jordan sat quietly beside Elena, completely unaware danger had just changed directions. Malik's voice cracked again. "They said if Jordan talks, your whole family pays for it." The phone line suddenly disconnected. Marcus stared at the silent screen because this investigation was no longer only about truth. Now it was about survival. Marcus Bennett drove through downtown Chicago beneath heavy morning clouds while anxiety tightened every muscle in his body. Traffic crawled along wet streets crowded with commuters and news vans chasing the latest scandal. Beside him, Jordan stared silently through the passenger window. Neither mentioned Malik's phone call. Eleanor stayed behind gathering clothes and important documents from their apartment before reporters overwhelmed the building completely. Marcus ordered 2 patrol officers to remain nearby temporarily. Not because he trusted public attention anymore, because threats against police families became real quickly inside Chicago. Jordan finally broke the silence. "Am I in danger?" Marcus tightened both hands against the steering wheel. "I don't know yet." That honesty frightened Jordan more than lies would have. Marcus pulled into the underground parking garage beneath an old church on Chicago's south side. St. Matthew Baptist survived riots, gang wars, economic collapse, and decades of political neglect. The building looked worn but unbroken. Reverend Isaiah Coleman waited near the entrance doors wearing a dark wool coat despite humid weather. "Marcus," he greeted quietly. Marcus stepped from the vehicle quickly. "I need somewhere private for Jordan today." Isaiah looked toward Jordan carefully before nodding. "Then he's family here." Inside the church basement, volunteers prepared meals for elderly residents, while gospel music played softly from an old radio. The ordinary warmth of the room immediately calmed Jordan slightly. Isaiah handed Marcus coffee before speaking privately. News crews already called asking questions. Marcus sighed heavily. "Everybody smells blood when police scandals happen." Isaiah lowered his voice. "This feels bigger than embarrassment." Marcus finally explained the threat. Isaiah listened silently without interruption, then he looked directly at Jordan. "You saw something important last night, didn't you?" Jordan hesitated. Fragments returned slowly now. Gunfire, screaming, headlights, a tattoo visible beneath one shooter's sleeve while he climbed back inside a black SUV. Jordan suddenly straightened. The driver had a cobra tattoo on his neck. Marcus looked up sharply. Chicago detectives tracked a violent crew called the Black Cobras for years. Drug trafficking, weapons, contract killings, witness intimidation. Marcus immediately reached for his phone, but before dialing anyone, Jordan grabbed his wrist. "If I tell police, those people will come after us." Marcus stared at his son carefully. Fear existed there, but so did courage. The same stubborn courage Marcus once admired inside rookie officers before Chicago hardened them. "Jordan," Marcus said quietly, "people already died because everybody stayed silent." Jordan looked away. Isaiah stepped closer calmly. "Truth always costs something. the Reverend said softly. The question is whether silence costs more. Upstairs, church bells echoed across wet city streets. Marcus finally made the call. 2 hours later, federal agents arrived. Jordan immediately noticed the difference between FBI agents and local police officers. Cleaner suits, colder expressions, less patience. Special Agent Rebecca Sloan introduced herself quickly before reviewing surveillance photographs across the church table. The Black Cobras expanded operations through industrial districts recently, she explained. Andre Ruiz was likely laundering stolen merchandise through smaller neighborhood crews. Jordan studied the victim's photograph quietly. Alive in the image, smiling, not just another body beneath a white sheet anymore. Sloan slid another photograph forward, a bald man with a cobra tattoo curling beneath his left ear. Jordan pointed immediately. That's him. Marcus felt the room shift instantly. Sloan exchanged looks with another agent. Jordan, this man is Victor Mendez. We suspect him in 6 homicides across Illinois and Indiana. Jordan swallowed hard. He saw me too. Silence followed, because everyone understood what that meant. Sloan closed the folder carefully. Lieutenant Bennett, your family needs protective custody immediately. Marcus hated those words. Protective custody meant surrendering normal life completely. No apartment, no school, no routine, just fear managed by procedure. Jordan suddenly stood from the table. This happened because I followed the wrong people, he muttered bitterly. Marcus stepped toward him immediately. No, this happened because violent men destroyed another neighborhood. Jordan shook his head. You warned me about Malik. Marcus paused, because Jordan was right. Then another realization struck him. Where is Malik now? Nobody answered. Agent Sloan looked grim suddenly. That's the bigger problem. Marcus frowned. Why? Sloan opened her phone silently. A crime scene photograph filled the screen, an abandoned sedan near the Chicago River, blood covering the driver's seat, and Malik Turner's backpack lying beside the vehicle. Wind pushed cold rain across the Chicago River, while crime scene lights reflected against dark water below the bridge. Marcus Bennett stepped beneath yellow police tape beside the abandoned sedan. FBI agents and homicide detectives moved quietly around the vehicle, photographing evidence. Jordan remained inside an unmarked SUV nearby with Agent Sloan. Marcus approached the bloody driver's seat slowly. Malik Turner's backpack rested on the pavement beside the open car door. One sneaker lay near the curb, partially soaked with rainwater. But Malik himself was gone. Detective Ruiz from Homicide greeted Marcus grimly. No body yet, he explained, just blood. Marcus studied the vehicle carefully. Bullet holes scarred the passenger side windows, signs of struggle covered the interior. How much blood? Marcus asked. Ruiz hesitated. Enough to worry us. Marcus closed his eyes briefly. 24 hours earlier, Malik represented teenage rebellion and bad influence. Now he possibly represented another dead child swallowed by Chicago violence. Agent Sloan joined them carrying a sealed evidence bag. We recovered this beneath the seat. Inside rested a cheap prepaid cell phone. Sloan continued quietly. Recent calls connect directly to Victor Mendez's organization. Marcus looked toward the river silently. The Black Cobras cleaned loose ends permanently. Teenagers became disposable quickly around men like Mendez. Jordan suddenly exited the SUV despite instructions to stay inside. Marcus noticed immediately. Jordan, get back in the vehicle. But Jordan ignored him. He walked directly toward Malik's abandoned backpack. Rain soaked his hoodie within seconds. He called me 3 times last week, Jordan whispered. I thought he just wanted money. Marcus stepped beside him carefully. None of this is your fault. Jordan laughed bitterly. Everybody keeps saying that because nobody wants the truth. Marcus frowned. What truth? Jordan looked toward the bloody sedan. Malik joined those people because nobody expected anything better from him. Those words hit harder than accusations, because Marcus remembered Malik at 12 years old playing basketball beside Jordan after church. Smart kid, quick smile, abandoned gradually by schools, social workers, and exhausted relatives. Chicago produced forgotten teenagers daily. Gangs simply collected them afterward. Jordan continued quietly. Teachers treated him like trouble before he ever became trouble. Marcus had no response. The truth felt uncomfortable because it carried pieces of reality. Suddenly, Agent Sloane's phone rang sharply. She answered quickly before her expression darkened. "When?" she asked. Marcus recognized danger instantly. Sloane ended the call and turned toward him. "Victor Mendez just hit another location." "Where?" "A witness apartment in Cicero." Marcus stiffened. "Any survivors?" Sloane hesitated. Mother and daughter both critical. Jordan looked horrified because now violence carried faces instead of headlines. Marcus made a decision immediately. "We're moving tonight." Jordan frowned. "Moving where?" "Somewhere nobody finds us." 3 hours later, under federal protection, Marcus drove Elena and Jordan toward a safe house outside Milwaukee. The interstate stretched endlessly beneath dark skies while silence filled the vehicle. Elena finally spoke softly from the back seat. "Jordan, look at me." He turned slowly. "None of this changes who you are." Jordan stared at his mother sadly. "A boy got shot beside me. Malik might be dead. Reporters call me gang-connected every hour online." Elena reached forward, squeezing his shoulder gently. "Pain changes people, but it doesn't define them forever." Marcus listened quietly while driving north through steady rain. Then his own phone vibrated. "Captain Holloway." Marcus answered reluctantly. "What now?" Holloway sounded unusually tense. "Your house was broken into 30 minutes ago." Elena gasped softly. Marcus tightened his grip against the steering wheel. "What was taken?" "Nothing." Marcus frowned. "Then why break in?" Heavy silence followed. Then Holloway answered quietly. "Because somebody painted a message across your living room wall." Marcus felt cold immediately. "What message?" Holloway lowered his voice. "Tell your son silence keeps families alive." Jordan heard every word from the passenger seat, his face drained completely. Because for the first time since the shooting, the threat no longer felt distant. Now it felt personal. The safe house outside Milwaukee sat hidden behind dense pine trees beside an empty county road. Federal marshals rotated quietly through the property, while freezing rain covered the surrounding fields with silver ice. Inside, silence weighed heavily across every room. Jordan Bennett barely slept anymore. He spent long hours staring through second-floor windows, watching unfamiliar headlights pass slowly through darkness. Every vehicle felt dangerous now. Every stranger carried possible violence. Marcus noticed immediately. Trauma changed posture before words. 3 days passed without updates about Malik Turner. News stations continued broadcasting speculation about Jordan's connection to gang activity. Online strangers judged his entire life using incomplete headlines and blurred photographs. Elena finally shut off the television completely during breakfast. "This house already feels like prison," she said sharply. "We don't need reporters living here too." Jordan pushed food around his plate quietly. "Maybe they're right about me anyway." Marcus looked up immediately. "No," Jordan laughed bitterly. "I ignored every warning you gave me." "That doesn't make you a criminal." Jordan stood suddenly from the table. "Maybe not. But it got people hurt." He disappeared upstairs before either parent answered. Marcus followed moments later. Jordan sat beside the bedroom window, holding his broken silver necklace carefully between trembling fingers. Marcus remained near the doorway quietly. "You know what scares me most?" Jordan asked without looking up. Marcus waited. "Not the gangs, not the guns." Jordan swallowed hard. "I'm scared everybody only sees headlines now." Marcus slowly entered the room. "People forget headlines quickly." Jordan shook his head. "You don't understand." He finally looked up. "You wear a badge. People assume you're honorable first." Marcus felt shame move silently through him because Jordan was right again. America judged young black boys differently every day. Marcus spent 23 years watching suspicion follow innocent teenagers through stores, schools, and traffic stops. He fought those patterns inside his own department constantly. Yet somehow he failed noticing how deeply Jordan feared becoming another stereotype. Marcus sat beside him quietly. "When I was 14, Marcus began softly, a store owner accused me of stealing gloves during winter." Jordan looked surprised. Marcus nodded. I had money in my pocket ready to buy them, but he only saw my skin color first. Jordan listened silently. That humiliation stayed with me for years, Marcus admitted. Part of why I became police was believing I could change those moments for somebody else. Jordan studied his father carefully. Did it work? Marcus looked toward the frozen trees outside. Sometimes. Before more words came, Agent Sloan entered quickly downstairs. Marcus, we found Malik. The entire house froze. 10 minutes later, everyone gathered around the dining table while Sloan reviewed photographs and reports. Malik Turner was alive. Barely. Police discovered him abandoned near an abandoned warehouse outside Gary, Indiana. Severe injuries, broken ribs, gunshot wound through the shoulder. Jordan covered his mouth immediately. Can I see him? Sloan hesitated. He's under federal protection now. Marcus noticed something else inside her expression. What aren't you saying? Sloan slid another photograph across the table. Victor Mendez entering a courthouse years earlier beside several corrupt police officers. Marcus stared carefully. One face looked painfully familiar. Captain Raymond Holloway. Marcus felt the room tilt slightly. No, he whispered. Sloan nodded grimly. We've investigated department leaks for almost 18 months. Witness locations kept reaching the Black Cobras within hours. Elena looked horrified. You're saying police helped them? Sloan answered carefully. Some police. Marcus suddenly understood everything. Holloway knowing about the safe house, Holloway controlling media narratives, Holloway pressuring internal affairs immediately. Jordan looked toward his father anxiously. Dad? Marcus stood slowly from the table. His entire career suddenly felt poisoned, because betrayal inside police departments destroyed trust deeper than gang violence ever could. Sloan spoke quietly. Malik gave a full statement before surgery. Marcus looked up sharply. About what? Sloan met his eyes directly. He says Captain Holloway ordered Andre Ruiz killed after stolen money disappeared from a weapons shipment. Silence consumed the room. Then Sloan delivered the final blow. And Malik says Holloway knows Jordan can identify Victor Mendez from the garage shooting. Marcus realized the truth immediately. They were never hiding from gang members alone. They were hiding from someone inside the police department too. Night fell over the safe house, and rain tapped sharply against the roof. Marcus Bennett paced silently while Jordan sat cross-legged on the living room floor, holding the broken silver necklace. Eleanor prepared dinner quietly in the corner. Everyone understood that silence had become their language. Marcus finally spoke, his voice low and steady. Tomorrow, we leave this house. We move farther, somewhere nobody can track easily. Jordan looked up anxiously. Even farther than Milwaukee? Marcus nodded. Yes. Before more could be said, Agent Sloan called Marcus to the side. In Samar. She whispered urgently. Victor Mendez just left Chicago. He's heading toward northwest Indiana. Marcus's stomach tightened. The city that had been his home, the place he swore to protect, now felt like a trap. He glanced back at Jordan, seeing fear, courage, and exhaustion mixed together. His son had faced violence directly and survived, yet the emotional scars already ran deep. Sloan continued, We coordinated with federal transport. They can move your family tonight under full protection. Elena stepped forward, clasping Marcus's hand. Are you sure this will be safe? Marcus forced a small nod. As safe as it gets. Inside the house, Jordan's thoughts raced. Malik Turner, the Black Cobras, the corrupt officer inside the Chicago Police Department, every element connected in a dangerous web. Every night from now on would carry uncertainty. Marcus knelt beside Jordan, lowering his voice. Listen carefully. You stay close to us, follow instructions, and never engage with anyone outside our circle. Understood? Jordan nodded slowly, gripping his necklace as if it could anchor him through the chaos. At 11 p.m., armored vehicles arrived quietly at the driveway. Federal marshals helped them into the cars with minimal noise. Rain pelted the vehicles as they drove north toward undisclosed locations, away from Chicago, away from danger, away from headlines. Through the drive, Marcus kept glancing at Jordan. His son's face was pale but eyes alert, trying to process the reality of survival and guilt. Marcus realized that no badge or rank could shield family from violence in a city built on distrust, crime, and inequality. Hours later, they arrived at a secluded compound outside Madison. Lights illuminated the perimeter, and armed guards conducted multiple security sweeps before allowing them to enter. The compound felt both comforting and isolating, a fragile bubble between them and a dangerous world outside. Marcus finally allowed himself to breathe, but the weight of responsibility remained. Protecting Jordan meant navigating a city corrupt in parts, violent in others, and unpredictable in all. Jordan finally broke the silence. "Dad, will it ever be normal again?" Marcus pulled him close. "Maybe someday. For now, we survive and stay smart. That's normal enough." Outside, rain continued its relentless fall. Inside, a family huddled together, bruised emotionally but alive. The storm passed, but the city remained. Marcus understood that true danger never fully disappeared, it only shifted, waiting. And so did responsibility. In the quiet of the secure house, Marcus made a silent promise. No one would ever threaten his son again without consequence. And in the next hours, plans were drawn, alliances made, and protections established. Chicago's chaos lingered in memory, but for now, this family would endure. Jordan held the necklace tightly, a symbol of survival, courage, and a childhood interrupted but not broken. Marcus watched him, feeling hope rise however small against the darkness that loomed. He knew the next battle wasn't only about survival, it was about reclaiming life, dignity, and trust in a world that demanded both constantly. Winter arrived early across Wisconsin. Snow covered the roads surrounding the secure compound, while silence settled over the isolated property. For the first time in weeks, Jordan Bennett slept through the night without waking from nightmares. Inside the small kitchen, Marcus Bennett stood beside the coffee machine, watching snowfall through frosted windows. The past month had changed him permanently. 23 years wearing a badge taught him how violence destroyed neighborhoods. But watching fear consume his own family revealed something deeper. Elena entered quietly, wearing a thick sweater and wool socks. She wrapped her arms around Marcus from behind. "You finally slept too," she whispered. Marcus nodded slowly. First full night since Chicago. They stood together silently while snow drifted across dark pine trees outside. Simple peace suddenly felt precious. 3 days earlier, federal prosecutors arrested Captain Raymond Holloway during a coordinated corruption sweep involving multiple officers connected to the Black Cobra's organization. News coverage exploded nationally. Hidden payments, evidence tampering, witness intimidation. The scandal shook Chicago police leadership completely. Victor Mendez remained in federal custody, awaiting trial after FBI agents captured him near the Indiana border, attempting to flee south. And Malik Turner survived. Barely. Jordan visited him yesterday inside a protected hospital wing. The meeting stayed quiet and emotional. Malik looked fragile beneath medical equipment and stitched wounds. "I should have listened to you," Malik admitted weakly. Jordan shook his head. "We both made mistakes." Tears filled Malik's eyes afterward. "They promised money," he whispered. "Nobody ever promised me a future before." Jordan never forgot those words, because deep down, he understood exactly what Malik meant. Many neighborhoods across Chicago raised children surrounded by survival instead of opportunity. Some escaped, others disappeared into systems built from poverty, neglect, addiction, and violence. That truth haunted Jordan now. Later that afternoon, Marcus drove Jordan toward a frozen lake outside Madison. Snow crunched beneath their boots while gray clouds stretched endlessly overhead. Jordan shoved cold hands inside his coat pockets. "Why here?" "So?" he asked. Marcus smiled faintly. "Because sometimes men talk easier away from buildings." They stopped near the frozen shoreline. Marcus finally faced his son directly. "I owe you an apology." Jordan looked surprised. "For what?" Marcus took a slow breath. "I spent years believing protecting the city mattered more than protecting moments with my family." Jordan stayed silent. "I missed too much," Marcus admitted. "Games, conversations, warnings you needed earlier." Snow drifted softly between them. Jordan looked toward the frozen lake. "I thought you stopped seeing me," he said quietly. Marcus felt those words deeply. "Never," he answered immediately. Jordan nodded slowly. "I know that now." For several seconds neither spoke, then Jordan removed the broken silver necklace from his pocket. "I almost threw this away," he admitted. Marcus examined it carefully, a damaged symbol from a terrible night. Jordan continued quietly, "But maybe broken things still matter." Marcus smiled for the first time in weeks. Sometimes broken things teach people who they really are. Back in Chicago, reforms began slowly inside the police department. Body camera policies tightened, community oversight expanded. Officers connected to corruption investigations faced suspension or arrest. Change came painfully. But change finally came. Months later, Jordan returned home carrying emotional scars but stronger perspective. He volunteered with church youth programs alongside Reverend Isaiah Coleman, mentoring younger boys vulnerable to the same streets that nearly consumed Malik. Marcus reduced overtime hours permanently. Family dinners returned. Laughter slowly returned too. Chicago remained complicated. Violence still existed. Fear still touched neighborhoods unfairly. But inside one family, healing quietly replaced survival. One evening, Jordan rode his bicycle again through a neighborhood park while Marcus watched nearby from a bench. Snow melted slowly beneath early spring sunlight. Children laughed across playgrounds. Basketballs echoed in the distance. Ordinary sounds, beautiful sounds. Marcus realized something then. Strength was never about carrying pain silently. Real strength meant protecting hope, despite everything trying to destroy it. Jordan glanced back while riding. "Dad, you watching?" Marcus smiled warmly. "Always, buddy." And this time, he truly meant it. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and share this video.